The sun dipped low over the jagged cliffs of Mistral Prime, casting long shadows across the battlefield below. The acrid scent of smoke and scorched earth filled the air as Captain Zara Quinn surveyed the chaos unfolding before her. Shouts of her comrades mingled with the crackling of energy weapons, creating a cacophony that thrummed in her chest. "This isn't a battle, it's a massacre!" she shouted, her heart racing as a distant explosion shook the ground beneath her feet. "Captain? We need to regroup!" Lieutenant Ethan Rourke called, darting to her side, his face smeared with soot and determination. His blue eyes sparkled with urgency, framed by tousled brown hair. "We can't hold them off much longer." Zara clenched her jaw, forcing herself to focus. "No, we can't retreat. If we do, we lose everything." Her voice was steady, a stark contrast to the turmoil that threatened to engulf her thoughts. Each soldier on the front lines was not just a face in the crowd, they were friends, family, and the last vestige of humanity's fight against overwhelming odds. Amidst the chaos, Zara's mind drifted to the history that had led them to this moment. For centuries, humans had been painted as the villain in the galaxy's narrative, their struggles overlooked, their sacrifices forgotten. Now, they were forced to defend their very existence against the united forces of the Galactic Council, led by the merciless General Varac. "Look!" Ethan pointed as an alien cruiser swooped down, its massive frame blotting out the sun. "They're mobilizing for another attack." Zara turned her gaze toward the ship, a knot forming in her stomach. "We need to get our troops to higher ground. If we can draw them into the canyon, we can use the terrain to our advantage." With a swift nod, Ethan rallied the nearby soldiers. "Move out! We're falling back to the ridge!" The troops, weary yet resolute, obeyed, their movements a mixture of urgency and determination. As they ascended the rocky incline, Zara felt the weight of their plight pressing down on her. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were fighting not just for survival, but for redemption. Every scream, every blast of energy, echoed the galaxy's disdain for humanity. "Why do they hate us so much?" she murmured, almost to herself. Ethan glanced back, his expression a mixture of sympathy and understanding. "We're the scapegoats, Zara. They need a reason to justify their actions." He paused, his brow furrowing. "But we can change that narrative. We need to show them that we're not the monsters they think we are." Zara's heart pounded as they reached the ridge, taking stock of the terrain. "You're right," she replied, voice resolute. "But first, we have to survive today." Just then, a series of blinding flashes erupted from the cruiser, and Zara's instincts kicked in. "Get down!" she shouted, diving for cover as energy blasts rained down around them. The ground erupted in plumes of dirt and debris, the air thick with the smell of charred rock. As the dust settled, she crawled to Ethan's side, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We're not done yet," she said, meeting his gaze with fierce determination. "We fight. Not just for us, but for every human who's been abandoned, betrayed, and forgotten." Ethan nodded, his expression fierce. "For every soldier who has fought for their lives against insurmountable odds." A surge of energy flooded through Zara as they prepared for the next wave of attackers. This battle wasn't just a fight against alien forces, it was a fight for their very identity. And in that moment, she knew they would either forge a new legacy or be consumed by the past. The air crackled with tension as the cruiser swooped lower, its engines roaring like a predator stalking its prey. Zara felt the weight of her responsibility bearing down on her, but beneath that pressure, a spark ignited. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting to reclaim their humanity. The ground trembled beneath Zara as the alien cruiser unleashed another barrage of energy blasts. Dust swirled, mingling with the metallic scent of singed rock. She and her soldiers huddled behind a crumbling outcrop, adrenaline coursing through their veins. "We need to counterattack, now!" she shouted, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Agreed," Ethan replied, adjusting the scope on his rifle, his hands shaking slightly. "But we can't just rush in. We need a plan." His blue eyes narrowed, reflecting the determination that fueled them both. "They're vulnerable when they land to resupply. We can exploit that." Zara nodded, formulating a strategy in her mind. If we can draw their fire, we can flank them from the left. Ethan, gather a small team to create a diversion. I'll lead the rest in a stealthy approach from the right. She met his gaze, intensity sparking between them. We do this together. Always, he replied, a ghost of a smile flickering across his face. Just make sure you don't get yourself killed while I'm being heroic. As they moved, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that their situation was about to change. The tension in the air crackled, not just with energy blasts, but with something more profound, a sense of purpose. She felt a surge of hope swell within her, a rare ember in the suffocating darkness of despair. The squad crept along the rocky terrain, weaving between boulders and fallen debris. Each step was calculated, each breath measured. Zara's heart raced as they reached a vantage point, overlooking the alien cruiser. It loomed like a predator, its metallic surface gleaming ominously under the dying sun. Now, Ethan! She whispered, signaling to him as the cruiser's engines roared to life, preparing to land. Time for the distraction! Ethan raised his rifle, firing a precise shot that echoed across the battlefield. The energy bolt struck a nearby power generator, sending a shower of sparks into the air. Alarms blared, and the cruiser's hatch opened, revealing a squad of alien soldiers, their armored forms silhouetted against the glow. Now! Zara commanded, leading her team down the slope. They charged forward, adrenaline pushing them beyond their limits. With each step, the weight of their struggle transformed into a fierce resolve. They were no longer just fighting for survival, they were fighting for a legacy. The sound of gunfire erupted around them, mingling with the howls of alien troops as they engaged Ethan's diversionary force. Zara felt a rush of exhilaration as they pushed deeper into enemy lines, her focus unwavering. But amid the chaos, a chilling realization began to seep into her mind. This was only the beginning. As they reached the cruiser, she turned to her soldiers. Secure the area! We need to take control before reinforcements arrive! Her voice carried, laced with urgency and conviction. On it! A soldier called, diving behind a crate for cover. Zara felt the weight of leadership pressing down on her, but she knew she couldn't falter. They had to seize this moment. Suddenly, a piercing shriek cut through the noise, chilling her blood. From the depths of the cruiser, a massive alien figure emerged, towering over her team. It was General Varac, his reptilian skin glistening under the fading light. His eyes narrowed, a predatory gleam lighting up his gaze as he surveyed the chaos. Foolish humans, he growled, voice booming. You think you can turn the tide? You are nothing but a fleeting storm, easily swept away. Zara felt her heart race, but she squared her shoulders. We're more than a storm, Varac. We're the dawn after the dark. With a roar, Varac charged, and the ground shook with each step. Zara's instincts kicked in. Fall back! Form a line! She shouted, adrenaline fueling her commands. Her heart pounded, the stakes rising higher with every passing second. As they scrambled into position, Zara realized they were at a precipice, not just of battle, but of their very existence. This was the moment that would define them, the turning point that could alter the galaxy's perception of humanity forever. Ready! Ethan yelled, determination etched across his face. Zara took a deep breath, the scent of smoke and sweat filling her lungs. On my mark, we fight! With a single beat of her heart, the tide was set to turn. The battlefield pulsed with a chaotic energy, the air thick with smoke and the acrid scent of burning metal. Zara steadied her breath, the sight of General Varac charging at them igniting a primal urge to fight. Hold the line! She shouted, her voice cutting through the din as she raised her weapon, eyes locked on the approaching beast. On your six, Zara! Ethan warned, his tone urgent. With precision, he fired a shot, hitting Varac in the shoulder. The alien staggered but quickly recovered, snarling in fury as he advanced. I'm not going to let that thing take you down! Zara appreciated his concern but had no time for distractions. Keep firing! We need to wear him down! She felt the weight of the moment pressing on her, the determination to protect her squad fueling her resolve. The alien general bellowed, his roar reverberating through the air as he closed the distance. With each step, the ground trembled beneath them, and Zara's heart raced. Her squad held firm, their eyes wide with fear and determination alike. "Zara!" a soldier cried. "He's too strong! We need to regroup!" "No!" she snapped, gritting her teeth. "We can't retreat now. This is our chance!" Her mind raced as she recalled her training, the lessons drilled into her during the long, grueling days of preparation. The enemy wasn't invincible. They were merely underestimating humanity's resolve. Ethan repositioned himself, steadying his aim once more. "I'll cover you. You need to flank him." "Right," Zara replied, determination surging. She signaled the others to spread out, creating a semicircle that would allow them to coordinate their assault. "We'll hit him from both sides." The soldiers moved swiftly, adrenaline fueling their every step. Zara's breath quickened as she darted to the left, her heart pounding with anticipation. She could feel the intensity of the battle, the energy vibrating in the air. Each step felt like a promise. This was their moment to prove their worth, to show that they would not be crushed. The moment they were in position, Zara glanced back at Ethan, who met her gaze with a fierce nod. She raised her weapon high, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Now!" she yelled. Gunfire erupted, a symphony of chaos. Zara's squad unleashed a barrage of shots, the whirring sound of energy blasts filling the air. Varac was momentarily distracted, his focus shifting between the soldiers surrounding him. Zara seized the opportunity, sprinting toward the general with renewed ferocity. "Come on, you oversized lizard!" she taunted, her voice steady despite the fear swirling inside her. Varnak's eyes narrowed, and he charged, his massive frame barreling forward. As he swung a massive fist, Zara dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the impact. The ground erupted around her, and she felt the heat from the explosion wash over her. "Get back!" she shouted to her team, scrambling to her feet as Varnak's roar echoed through the battlefield. "Flank him! Now!" Ethan commanded, rallying the troops as he provided cover fire. The soldiers regrouped, fanning out to encircle the general. Zara could see the resolve hardening in their eyes. They were no longer merely defending their territory, they were fighting for their very existence. "Push him back!" Zara shouted, feeling the pulse of courage thrumming through her veins. She aimed carefully, firing another shot that struck Varnak's chest. The alien staggered, a flicker of surprise crossing his features. With a roar of anger, he retaliated, sending a wave of energy blasts cascading toward them. Zara ducked, feeling the heat singe her hair as she rolled behind cover. "We can't let him regroup. We need to take him down now." Just as she scrambled to her feet, Varnac swung his arm again, this time catching one of her soldiers off guard. The man went flying, landing hard against the rubble. Zara's heart sank, but she knew they couldn't falter. "Ethan!" she cried, urgency lacing her voice. "We need a distraction." Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of the moment. "I'll cover you." He began laying down suppressive fire, drawing Varnak's attention back to him. Zara seized the chance, determination fueling her steps as she rushed toward the alien. This was it. This was their chance to turn the tide. The weight of countless lives rested on her shoulders, and she would not let them down. As she drew closer, she could feel the ground quake beneath Varnak's furious steps. They were fighting not just for survival but to carve a place for humanity in a universe that had often disregarded them. With a surge of defiance, Zara pushed forward, heart racing, ready to face the monster head-on. "Let's finish this!" she roared, adrenaline igniting her spirit as she prepared to strike. The battlefield thrummed with the energy of conflict as Zara charged toward General Varnac, heart pounding in her chest. Her squad's gunfire erupted behind her, creating a cacophony that seemed to fuel her resolve. Each step was a declaration, a refusal to back down in the face of a foe that loomed larger than any threat they had encountered before. "Zara, wait!" Ethan shouted, urgency slicing through the noise. But she was already moving, the adrenaline blinding her to the danger. The alien general was distracted, fists raised and jaw clenched, but she knew he would regain focus any second. Ignoring Ethan's warning, she ducked behind a crumbling wall, narrowly avoiding a flurry of energy blasts that exploded against the structure. Dust and debris rained down, momentarily blinding her. She wiped her eyes and steadied her breath, scanning for a weak spot. Varnak's hulking frame shifted as he bellowed, his voice echoing across the war-torn landscape. "Humans! You think you can challenge me? We don't think we know!" Zara shouted back, a fire igniting in her gut. She had no choice but to fight. The survival of her squad depended on it. As she peered around the wall, she noticed a flicker of movement at the edge of her vision. One of her comrades, Lila, was struggling to pull a fallen soldier to safety. "Lila! Get him out of here!" Zara yelled, her heart aching at the sight of her friend in peril. Varnac turned, sensing the shift in their ranks. "No more games!" He aimed his weapon toward Lila. "No!" Zara's instincts kicked in. She sprinted forward, her weapon poised and ready. "Ethan, cover me!" "On it!" he shouted, pouring fire toward the general, who staggered back, momentarily caught off guard. Zara seized the moment. With fierce determination, she charged Varnac, dodging between rocks and debris. Each movement was calculated, each breath a promise to her team. She could see Lila finally pull the injured soldier to safety, relief washing over her face even as the chaos continued to unfold. "Keep moving!" Zara urged, positioning herself closer to Varnac's flank. She had learned in her training that speed and agility could outmaneuver brute strength. As she closed the gap, she spotted a glimmer of vulnerability beneath Varnac's armor, just above his left knee. If she could strike there, it might bring him down. "You think you can hurt me?" Varnac roared, now focused solely on her. His eyes burned with a savage fury, and he lunged forward, swinging a massive fist. Zara barely dodged the blow, rolling to the side and regaining her footing. "I don't just think, I know!" She leaped, aiming a kick toward the general's knee, aiming to exploit his moment of distraction. Her boot connected with a resounding thud, and Varnac let out a pained growl, staggering back. "Good hit!" Ethan shouted, the thrill of their combined efforts echoing in his voice. "Keep pressing him!" With renewed energy surging through her veins, Zara pressed forward, determination hardening her resolve. Varnac recovered quickly, his wrath palpable as he unleashed another wave of energy blasts, each one igniting the ground around them. The air sizzled with heat, and Zara ducked and rolled, narrowly escaping another explosion. "Focus fire on his knee!" Ethan yelled, rallying their squad. The soldiers synchronized their shots, firing at Varnac's weakened point. The alien general roared, fury radiating from him as he desperately tried to shield himself. Zara took a breath, feeling the weight of the moment. They were not just fighting for their lives. They were fighting for their place in the universe. "We can't let him regroup. Hit him hard!" With each shot fired, the tension in the air thickened, a palpable desperation clinging to the chaos. Varnac faltered, and Zara seized the moment. She darted forward, weapon raised, adrenaline coursing through her as she prepared for one decisive blow. But then, a piercing shriek filled the air, a sound that froze her in her tracks. She turned, her heart sinking as she saw Lila struggling to her feet, a look of sheer horror on her face. "Zara! Look out!" Time seemed to slow as Zara's gaze snapped back to Varnac, whose eyes glinted with malice as he charged, energy crackling around him. In that split second, the world narrowed to a single thought: they had to win. "Zara!" Ethan shouted, panic lacing his voice. She had to act. With every ounce of strength, she lunged forward, prepared to face the storm. This was the moment that would define them all, and she would not let it slip away. "Together!" she roared, ready to embrace the chaos.